administration said it was a petite issue. Okay, there's a difference of opinion. Brian's not even sure I'm not sure he's committed to the notion that climate change is man-made. I'm sold, I get it, it is. So what I say about carbon emission is, we've got to scramble as fast as we can. The planet actually is going to be fine. It's the organisms living in it that are in trouble, among which we are some. We've got to do everything in our power as quickly as possible. Vermont can lead. As governor, I get it. We need a few more governors who aren't taking a special interest money, but can actually get it done. I'll be that governor if you give me the chance.
Okay, do you think that it should be regulated? Yes or no?
Yes, I do think it should be regulated, and I think that we have to understand when we regulate it, that the other 49 states need to join us. It's much tougher to do state by state, obviously. We need to do everything we can to get off our addiction to oil, including regulate carbon in the future.
Governor Dubie?
No, I don't think it should be regulated, but I would consider a carbon tax. I would consider a tax on imported fuel or on petroleum products that generate carbon dioxide. You know, just in terms of perspective, we have the second cleanest energy portfolio in the country. That is a pretty good statistic. That's as a result of having the relationship that I worked on your behalf for 8 years, to making sure the political relationship was in place so the professionals could negotiate the largest contract in the history of the state of Vermont. I'll take a part of the credit for that with Hydro-Quebec. Before I took my oath of office, I was in Quebec City working on the relationship. When Jean Charest, the new premier of Quebec, took his oath of office, I was sitting in the front row. That was a result of a lot of people working hard behind the scenes to get to the point where Green Mountain Power and Central Vermont Public Service could sign the contract. I'm proud of the work we did. I'm also proud of the fact that the state of Vermont leads the nation on a per capita basis in terms of investments in energy efficiency. I think we can do more. I think there's much more we can do. But I'm really proud of the fact that our state is recognized as a state that has a commitment to the environment. And as your next governor, I will continue to strengthen that reputation in our country.
I wasn't clear on part of your answer. You said that you didn't want to regulate it, but that you would consider taxing it. How would that not be?
I would. There's regulation. I think politicians sometimes use regulations when they should use taxes. If you think something is a priority, as a nation, I'm not proposing this as a state, but if we want to reduce our dependence on foreign oil or on oil, we should tax it. And we should let the marketplace allocate the true cost of importing in terms of national security, environmental security, and economic security. So as someone who is, I'm suspect of regulations, and I would have more faith in the marketplace to sort out the true cost and developing solutions.
Let me give you each another minute on this topic if there's anything you want to add.
There he goes again, wanting to raise your taxes. I don't know what to do. I can't stop it. You know, Sarah Palin said, you know I shouldn't go there, but I will. She said, I can see Russia from my house. Well, I can see New Hampshire from mine. And the problem is, if you use taxes in one state to drive this debate, all we do is we fill her up across the river. It ain't going to work. So what I would do is what I said. The best efficiency program in the country, driven by the incentives we need to build renewables, together with the understanding that it's a much broader discussion. We have a bright ag future. Grow local, buy local, get our farmers the value-added tax, have a bright ag future, give the resources, the VHCB, to conserve farmland so that we have a bright ag future. Make sure that we're building our buildings to the right standards, replacing the windows and the doors, insulating. Let's lead the country there. Let's not have the highest fuel taxes so that we drive purchases to the other states around us.
I'm going to give you another minute.
For the record, I'm suggesting as a nation. As a state, I think we're overtaxed. I think we pay too many taxes. Senator Shumlin led the charge to override the governor's veto, raise taxes in a recession for the first time in the history of the state of Vermont. I am the candidate proposing low taxes. With that said, answering the question of do I think regulation should help us solve the problem? No, I think we should do it as a nation to think about a better using the marketplace to solve the problem. Once again, I'm proud of the fact that Vermont has done an excellent job with weatherization. Can we do more? Absolutely. I'm proud of the fact that we negotiated the largest power contract in our history with Hydro-Quebec. that is a great baseload source of power. I'm really excited the fact that we have companies like NRG that are leading in wind measurement. We have companies like Earth Turbines and Northern Power. They're doing a great job with community wind. I'm really excited that I helped to champion Jim Harrison's project in Georgia Mountain, work with the FAA to get the permits that are in place. I'm really excited the fact that Burlington Electric has signed a 25-year potential contract with that development. We have done much, and we have much to do.
During the Douglas administration, 5 commercial-scale wind projects sought certificates of public good, yet none is operational. You both say you support commercial wind. What would your administration do differently to get more projects commissioned? Lieutenant Governor Dubie.
Well, I have a whole section of my jobs plan that talks about permit reform. Part of the permit reform agenda is really about party status and trying to figure out a respectful way to ensure that people have the opportunity to weigh in. But it's troubling to me when someone talks about, as an example, stormwater on a wind project. That's a relatively low risk, low technology solution. A stormwater issue shouldn't be a means for stopping a wind project. So we're just going to have to continue to work to fine-tune ways for citizen involvement in siting wind projects, making sure that communities have the opportunity to weigh in and share their concerns, working with the developers to make sure those concerns are heard, and also developing best practices in terms of access road construction, stormwater management as it relates to the impact of potential developments, making sure that we do our due diligence, especially with the first projects in terms of impact on birds and bats and other wildlife species. We'll have to just continue to work to build the best practices to ensure that the tough questions are considered.
You know, Brian, I'd like to come back to this because I heard you go from just a year ago saying, win, win, build it everywhere, to a permit process that it seems to me ensures we won't build wind. And when I read your permit plan where you want to expand Act 248 to wind, I read it like this. You want to take away citizen participation when Walmart wants to build, and you want to add citizen participation when we build wind. This is what I would do about wind. We need wind. I understand the sacrifice. If you want to talk about energy sacrifice, come on down to Windham County. I'll show you around. So let's talk about how we get it done. First I would do as governor is put together the smartest minds in Vermont. It would take us about 6 weeks. Let's figure out all the areas of Vermont that are so precious that we would never put wind there. Let's take them off the map. Second, let's use Green Mountain Power on the Lowell project as the way to get it done. The community that hosts it votes affirmatively, it comes. Community votes no, it doesn't. Third, a tax structure where the closer you live to the turbines, the more benefit you get. And finally, let's have a decommissioning fund in place, as we do now, to take it down. But unlike the Vermont Yankee example, let's actually fill it up before we build it. Those 4 things, we have a bright wind future as part of our energy mix.
How would you have the benefits from the project shared? One of the complaints I hear is that the host community gets the benefit, but some of the communities that have to look at it don't. How would you take away that imbalance?
Mark, I think all you really have to do is design a property tax incentive, which frankly the Lowell project proposed that, but reconfigure it a little bit so that the closer you are to the project, the more benefit you get. And I think it's fair that those that live closest to the turbines themselves should get the biggest benefit.
I would agree with that. And I don't know where you're coming up with what you characterized with me, Senator. I'd like you to encourage you to read my plan. But I think people that are in the viewscape should have a part of the conversation. I have been in communities that feel like they're not equipped to deal with a big project. I think that this is a conversation that I would support, and I am supportive of wind. I will say as a candidate, and I've shared with some of the people in this room, that as a candidate there are a lot of Vermonters that have concerns. I support wind because I believe strongly that if it's good for a community and it's good for the environment and it helps to educate children in a school as a result of taxes, and it's sustainable, economically sustainable and environmentally sustainable, we should use wind as a part of our energy future in our state. And as someone who flies over our state, and I look down at Searsburg, I think, there are plenty of places that we should be able to figure out as a state where we could site wind in our state and have a part of our energy solutions going forward.
Can you each tell me one place that you would absolutely rule